guys, it's Sam. Welcome to today's episode. So today I'm going to be talking to the lovely Geni. She is a personal branding and business coach who currently lives in London. So Geni, how are you today?
I'm good. How are you? Thanks so much for having me on.
No worries. It's really good to have you here. Thanks for jumping on the call and doing this episode with me today. So yeah, tell us a little bit about yourself and kind of what got you into doing what you do today.
Okay. So basically when I was in Spain, I always loved to read and to write. And I was like, can I actually make money like writing stuff or like doing social media or anything?
Yep.
And obviously, I was in college back then and I started for free. Like, I went to a startup summit and I saw a startup that was like great, but their marketing was shit. So, what I did is I approached the CEO and I said, hey, I feel like this is amazing. It just your marketing sucks.
Okay.
And he's like, oh, yeah, actually, our marketing sucks. And I was like, can I just do a strategy for you? You don't have to pay me. I help them grow the company through social media marketing and stuff. And I was like, wow, now that I've done this for free for 9 months, I can actually start charging. And
Yep.
so, um, and so I got on Upwork, which is like a place for freelancers. And I landed my first paid copywriting client for like 350 euros
Okay.
per month. And was just like, oh my gosh, that's great. I can quit being like a waitress now. Um, and then I moved to London 3 years ago with no plan B, plan A. Like I wrapped my savings, I grabbed my two suitcases, I moved here. Um, and I was like, yeah, I'm gonna create a company. I'm gonna do this. I had no idea what I was doing. And I was like, for the first probably 8 months of having my company, I was eating like bread, butter, and noodles because I was so broke. I could not like afford anything else, and everything was going back to business. And
Yeah.
then COVID hit, and I was like, damn, I really need to make this work. But how am I
Yeah.
going to make this work when the world is shutting down, basically? And I was like, okay, what is an industry that is recession proof? And that was financial services. It's like, okay, so I'm going to create an agency. I'm going to do Facebook ads for financial services in the US because the UK was really bad.
Mm.
And I got my first three clients through LinkedIn. They actually came to me, and every one of them was paying like $3,000. And I was like,
Whoa.
what? Like overnight, I went from eating noodles to being able to pay my bills,
Yeah.
like start building like life here.
Was there any
And
point
then
where
from there,
was there any point where you didn't feel like where you wanted to quit, or did you always feel like
oh my God,
you were on the edge of like
yeah.
breaking through? Yeah.
Yeah, I was honestly, I think this is something that people don't even talk about. And now, even now, there are some days that just feel like there's some days you just wake up really excited, and then there are some days you just wake up like, what am I doing? But back then, yes, because I didn't have a safety net. Um, it was really tough, and I was like, this is not working. Like it took me 4 to 5 years to actually make a full-time income from what I do.
Right.
And I was like, I'm done with this. And I was like, I had like 2 meltdowns per week. And I was like, you know what, Geni, you need to make this work because
Yeah.
you're not going back to Spain.
Yeah.
Um, and then I was about to quit, and I got this first client. And I'm like, pay me $3,000 per month. And I was like, what the heck? Can I like, can I even like get paid that much? So yeah.
Did you set your rates at that, or is that what they said that they would just like who set that rate? Did you know you were going to get paid that much?
I set the price myself.
Okay. Did you expect them to say yes?
No.
That must be
No, it's not.
yeah, going in high in terms of pricing is always like a bit of a risky move. But at the end of the day, if you don't ask, you're not going to get it. And I feel like you have to be willing to lose some to win some. That must have been a great feeling, especially when you're at that point of like just stopping or like wanting to stop, because obviously the UK economy was like pretty bad during COVID. And yeah, landing those, was it 2 or 3 clients?
3.
Yeah, landing those 3 clients must have just been, felt amazing. So was that?
I feel like because in terms of pricing, because I was already in the industry, I knew more or less, like, I also, like, when I got started in my entrepreneurial journey, I did network marketing, like, multi-level marketing. So because of that, I think we all
I've been there
at some point.
Yeah, I've been there.
Of that, been there. So because of that, you learn a lot about psychology and people and sales. So what I did with that price is I created like an anchor price. So I went really high. So if they wanted to negotiate down, the price would has still be good, because it's not like you say 1,000 as your anchor price and then they keep negotiating down.
Okay.
So that's what I did. And and it worked. I was like, okay.
Brilliant. And was that from like direct messaging, or was that from running ads? Like, what was your approach through LinkedIn?
No, just I was just sharing stuff on LinkedIn, content.
Oh, wow.
And if I go back now to see what I was sharing back then, I would just cry.
So they reached out. So they reached out to you. So you were posting and sharing your business, and they actually reached out to you. Okay, that's awesome.
They were like, you know how Americans are. They're like, I want a talk shop. I was like, what?
Well, that's that's the ideal situation. That's the best situation you can have, really, when people actually come to you, because it says a lot about they're obviously interested, and you're obviously putting out the right content and the right message to actually attract them in the first place. So yeah, that's awesome. And now you teach people how to do this, how to grow through LinkedIn. Is that right?
Yeah. So basically now I'm working as a consultant coach for like small, medium-sized companies, consultants, coaches. And I never meant, like, I never intended for me like to become a coach, because you also have an agency, so I'm sure you know this, but there's a tendency that when you have an agency and then you start having success, then you start creating courses and selling those courses, right? So I didn't want to be, and I wasn't that boom, like that every like a big influencer speakers in the game were doing this. And I didn't want to become another one. I was just sharing my results, because for me it was like a big thing. Like after 5 years, I actually done sat at this. Like I actually like, can I make money out of this? And I shared on Instagram, because I went from 0 meetings to 12 meetings a week, from 0 sales to 3 new clients a week. And then people like started asking me, like, how do you do this? Can you teach me? Can you coach me? Like, no, I'm not a coach. But because they ask a lot, I was like, okay, I took 3 guys like for free, and I helped them build their agencies. And now one of them is in Costa Rica living his best life because of how much money he's making. The other one is gonna get engaged, and because he is now has the life that he wanted, and the other one has an agency. I was like, I should actually start charging for this. Because there's no way, like, people are getting these results, I'm not charging for this.
Absolutely.
And then it brought me so much joy, and that's how I got to be a coach.
So you put together your blueprint from your own personal experiences, pretty much, by the lessons that you learned on the way. And it was kind of accidental almost. It was like happened quite organically, right? You didn't go out, set out to become.
No,
you never thought that you were gonna, okay, I'm gonna go coach people and this is how I'm gonna do it. It was like an organic thing that worked out. Yeah.
Yeah. It was I think like with LinkedIn specifically, like at least back then, I did lots of courses because I needed
Yeah.
to learn.
Yeah.
But a lot of courses that I did were not good,
Mm.
or I already knew a lot of that stuff.
Yeah.
So I was like, I need to create my own system. Like, how, if I need a client tomorrow,
Yeah.
how am I gonna get this client? So I did like a lot of outreach, lead generation, content, like, hey, I'm doing this. And then it's when everything started like
Yeah.
work.
Yeah. So how do you, if you're taking on 3 clients a week, how do you manage your time? Because that it must get to a point where you cap out on workload. Do you ever outsource things and try and create systems to make things more? Otherwise, there's going to be a ceiling. I'd imagine there'd be a ceiling with the amount of time that you can give.
Yeah. Honestly, so something happened. It's not something that I've talked about this a lot, but um after that I had like a mental breakdown. Like I got super depressed because I had no time.
Yeah.
Like it was an industry,
Yeah.
financial services. I have my agency. I just didn't know anything about it.
Yeah.
Um and so I grew the business, but then I lost all my clients because I wasn't able to grow the business because no one, it's not like you go to university and like they teach you how to grow and maintain a business.
Mm-hmm.
So I lost all of my clients. And that's when I realized like, yeah, I was making money out of this, but I wasn't really enjoying it. Um, so I had to learn systems. And even now, like I'm still learning
Yeah.
systems, how to manage my time. I
Yeah.
have ADHD, so for me, like I'm doing 10,000 things at the same time.
Yeah. Okay.
So for me, like the biggest thing was like I just needed one day
Yeah.
to myself or one day to overview the entire business.
Yeah.
But with my clients, I see like as soon as I have 3 clients, they just break because they have nothing. So there's
Yeah.
not a solid foundation.
Yeah.
Um, so that was something that I struggle with.
Yeah. I imagine. Yeah. And I guess because you're the company of one, no one else understands your struggle because there are no people going through exactly the same stuff as you're going through. It's a struggle
Mhm.
that you can only understand if you're actually going through that. And it can be quite lonely whenever you're working all the time, and it does eat up a lot of your time trying to, especially in the early days when you need to put so many hours into it to make it work. You do end up sacrificing your friends and your social life. So you can just get so wrapped up in work that it does consume your life. So managing that time to the point where you're actually giving your clients the results they need, but you're also looking after your own mental health is something that I think a lot of business owners do struggle with. And
Yeah.
it's probably something that has to be has to be learned along the way because no one's taught.
Yeah.
No one's taught how
Yeah.
to do that.
Yeah. And there's also like this hustle culture that says like if you wanna have earn 6 figures a year, you need to hustle your way to burnout. And
Mm.
right now, I'm only working 4 days a week.
Oh, perfect. So that's a great
But
balance.
yeah, but because I know that I only have those 4 days to do like a week or 2 weeks worth of work in those
Yeah.
4 days.
Okay.
So I just don't waste time. And then I have 3 days or
Yeah.
however many days it take for me.
Yeah. Yeah. So are you still using the same strategies now to generate clients as you were 3 years ago?
No.
It's all changed because obviously the social media landscape changes so much. The technology moves on so fast. How do you find keeping on top of not only your clients' work, but also the constantly changing technology and having to do you take courses on the side, or do you always you attending meetups and seminars whilst you're doing your client work as well?
Yeah. So right now, like I'm a coach, so I just don't do any more agency work.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I invest a lot on coaches. I invest on, for example, if I need to learn about systems, I invest into that.
Yeah.
So yeah, it has changed a lot. Like even lead generation, I was booking 12 meetings per week before, like 2 years ago, and now it's just not as easy because people are way smarter with the way they invest their money, and they're not, they're more aware. But there's one thing that hasn't changed, and I don't think it's going to change, and that's like personal brand. You build that, you just stay relevant, but you have that, that's an asset. All the rest will change, but if you have like that fixed thing there that that you just need to keep building, then you just go and find new ways to do other things. But personal brand for me was like a game, and it is a game changer.
So with personal brand, I was watching Patrick Bet David. I was watching
Yes.
I was watching him do a talk, and he was saying about how now you need two channels. You need personal brand and your business brand. Managing both of those like separately, it's a lot of work. I think I'm thinking about outsourcing some of it, especially like the video editing side of stuff, because trying to juggle it all, like you finish a day of work and then you realize, oh, now I've got to edit all these all this content, all these reels, and it's time consuming. And then you've got to post it as well. So yeah, I'm starting to think if you want to grow past a certain point, you actually do need to outsource some of that workload and bring other people on board.
Yeah. For me, so I am in the, it's really interesting that you said that, because I am in the process of bringing like a brand manager to help me handle my personal brand, create content, repurpose content that I already have.
Yeah.
So you definitely need to source that at some point.
Yeah. Absolutely. Definitely. So did you always see yourself as, it sounds like you've always been interested in business and entrepreneurship. You mentioned before you went to a was it like a summit where you landed where you landed your first you volunteered. How long ago was that? Was that when you were like a teenager? Was that like when did the idea to I want to actually work for myself sort of come about?
Okay, so that was 6 years ago.
Okay.
6 to 7 years ago.
6 or 7 years ago. Okay. Yeah.
So we're gonna go down memory lane a bit now. I think it's because my parents, when, like, for example, when I was 2, they were working for themselves, and then they just stopped doing that, and they went back to work for another people. And then I was raised by a single mom, and she was doing 3 shifts. So I was staying a lot of the time with my grandparents, which, bless them, like they were amazing.
Yeah.
And then throughout the years, I saw my mom kind of like doing things she didn't like to do, and like being depressed in that sense, because she wasn't enjoying what she was doing. And I was like, I don't want to have the life for me and for my future family. And there was also another thing, and my mom always said this to me, like, Geni, you're not a good employee. So I just got a job, then I got fired. I got a job, then I got fired, because I was putting like my energy into that, but I wasn't just wired that way. And I was like, you know what? I said to my mom, like, Mom, I'm going to be on Forbes. I'm going to create a business. I'm going to like go to London, start a business, and that's what I'm going to do with my life. And she was like, yeah, of course. You just go, and once you've done that, you come and tell me. And I've always been like, I just want to create things. I just want to have that joy that you enjoy what you do, and you also have time for you and for like, do different stuff. So
did your mom always believe in you from when you said that?
No, because I'm kind of like the black sheep of my family. So I am the first one who actually has a college degree. I'm the first one who actually like move abroad. They don't speak English. I mean, they do. My dad speaks a little bit of English, but you know, they understand it, just don't speak it. And whenever they listen to me, it's just like, Johnny, oh my gosh, we love your English and stuff. Now it's good. Um, and my mom was like, Jenny, you know, go and do like what you want with your life. But she's kind of like more play it safe, because she always says this to me up until this point, which I just take with a pinch of salt. She's like, the further you grow, the bigger the fall is going to be.
Wow. Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah,
And so true. Yeah.
the higher you climb, the bigger the fall, you know.
Right.
And I understand her, because you know she thinks that way. But for me, it's just like, I've already hit rock bottom. Like, what's worse than hitting rock bottom? There's nothing
Mm.
worse than this. um so, and I also set my mind in a way that's just like, there's just no way that I'm going back to where I was, because I am a different person. I have different skills. I am building kind of like a safety net around my business, around my life. And if I fall, then well, like, you built it once, I built it 3 times. I'm gonna be able to build it a 4th time, and even faster than that. So
Definitely. And there's a lot more satisfaction in building something that's your own as well. You actually feel yourself, like you see the progress, even though it's not always, it's a lot easier to go and take a paycheck every month. You know that money's coming in. To actually wake up every day and not be sure whenever your next paycheck is coming in can be quite scary for some people.
I mean, it is scary. And there are some months that you just have an amazing month, and then there are other months that for some reason you just like, it wasn't that good. But I feel like that's also like what I like. Like, I like to the uncertainty. And I feel like the first 2 years of business, dealing with that was a big thing. And it affected my mental health, because I mean, I went from living at my mom's in a very small town, where a flat white would cost you like £1, to then moving to London and get a flat white for like £4 kind of thing.
Yeah, it's
So
insane.
so I had to learn a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
And then I had to learn that I can create that money. So I just need to know how. But that was one of the things that was the scariest thing, for sure, for at least for the first year.
And yeah, you went from basically interning to then moving to London by yourself, to then jumping into your own business, not thinking I'm going to get a job, jumping into your own business with living off some savings, just with the self-belief that it was going to work out.
Yeah.
Yeah. You must have had a lot of belief that you could make it work though. Like, where do you think that came from?
Because I've been so I'm adopted. So my parents adopted me when I was 2.
Oh wow.
And
Okay.
then I got into school. So back then, like, adoption was like a big thing. So I was the adopted kid, like in my school.
Oh
I
really?
also, like, yeah, for me, like, I had a different learning, like my brain was wired differently when it comes to learning, and I couldn't have good grades at all. So I was bullied, and then my parents split, and you know, the household was also like dramatic and
Yeah.
chaos.
Yeah.
And then I got into high school, and I said to my parents, I'm going to college. And they're like, okay, first, with what money? And second, like, with what grades? Because like, we don't doubt about your skills, but you are not, you know, it's not easy for you. And then, you know what, I was just like, I'm gonna study, I'm gonna do this. And then I ended up with a very, very, very high grades. And I'm like, this is all because I believed in my own self. So then when I moved to London, I was just like, I've already gone through all of this. There's no way that this is not going to work, because I'm not going back to Spain. So that's how I built this self-belief.
How was the so moving to London? Speak a bit about that. Like what was the, because you moved from a small country town, was that in Barcelona? And then
Yeah, it was outskirts. Yeah.
you moved to London, which is obviously, was that central London
No.
or like
Yeah.
outer?
No, I think it was zone 3, but I just didn't know back then. But the neighborhood that I moved into was one of the least safest ones.
Right.
Uh,
Yeah. Yeah. It's
so
London's a dangerous place. Yeah.
yeah, so
There's a
for
lot of crime.
me, like the first week of me being there, like I saw stuff that I thought I would never see in my freaking life.
Really?
And I was also sharing, so I had a small room, but I was sharing with other 8 people. Um, so it my move to London, like I was like, oh yeah, it's gonna be like this, gonna be like that, and then it wasn't like that. It took me like 2 years and a half to actually like build a solid thing.
Yeah.
It was really tough. And London, for me, I feel like it's a very tough city.
Yeah. It's competitive. People there can be quite cold. I think people go there for a reason. Like you've
Yeah.
moved to, because there's nicer places to live in the UK. I'm from the UK, and like I've lived in some great places. Like Surrey is beautiful, Dorset is beautiful. And to actually want to live in London, I feel like you're there for a reason. And most likely it's business generally, or if you're in entertainment and you want to work in the West End or something like that. But yeah, like I just remember just going to Waterloo and you just see everyone just rushing off the train, and they've got their head down, they've got their briefcase, and they're wearing a suit, and everyone's there just on a mission to do something. And that is it's a fast-paced city.
Yeah.
I still think it's one of my favorite cities, but it is not an easy city to live in.
It's not. And for me, the reason I got here is because like I've always like wanted to visit London. So my mom, when I was 18, she bought me a ticket to go to London.
Yeah.
And I remember us both, the first time we saw the Big Ben, we were just kind of like crying because I couldn't believe that I was there. My mom was like, okay. And I was like, you know what? I'm gonna leave here one way or the other.
Yeah.
Just as a thing that I want to prove myself that I can make it work in a
Yeah.
city like London.
Yeah.
But I've been here for 3 years and I can definitely say like, yeah, it's business, great network.
Yeah.
But if you want a quiet time, London is not a good city for that.
No, he never sleeps. Never sleeps. Yeah. So what's the next plan? Like you got a 3-5 year plan that that you are happy to be open with, or is it very very low
You know
key?
what? You know what? Like I always was this kind of person that would plan like stuff, have like 3, 5, 10-year plans. Like I'm
Yeah.
gonna have 4 kids. I'm gonna live in this house. I'm gonna like all of that stuff. But obviously, life sometimes has other plans. So right now, one thing that I want is I want to start kind of like a nonprofit for foster kids and give them, I don't want anyone to go through what I went through.
Okay. Yeah.
And be able to provide them with mental health organizations and all that stuff. So in order for me to do that, like the business needs to make in good amount of money. That's one of my main goals.
Yeah.
And I just want to, do more speaking engagements. I want to be a TEDx speaker someday. Definitely, I want to keep growing the business. In 3 years from now, I want to also invest into real estate. So yeah, that's my plan.
Do you think London real estate is still a good buy?
It is, but if I had to invest somewhere, it would probably be like being the north of England.
Like Manchester?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's cheaper and the interest, like it's going up already.
Yeah.
So probably I would do that.
Manchester's a great city. I always tell people this. It's so underrated. For people who live in London, I'm like, Manchester is like the new London. It's gonna
I've
be
never been there.
really okay.
I've never been
I
there.
much prefer Manchester to London because it's still got that city vibe and it's got the hustle and bustle, but it's just I don't know. I feel like the people there are warmer and it feels newer, like there's more growth going on there. I love Manchester. And it's also like a lot more affordable as well.
Yeah.
Do you have
Yeah.
anything, do you have any tools that you use to like on a daily basis, such as obviously to help you, like kind of your manage your workload, like Asana or any
Yeah.
project management tools?
So I use Notion.
Okay.
I don't know if you know Notion, but yeah, so I basically have more or less like my content calendar in there. I also
Mhm.
use scheduling tools like Taplio to schedule my LinkedIn posts, create my LinkedIn posts,
Yep.
um, engage with other people that are relevant in my industry.
Yeah.
And then I use post-its. Like I'm old school. Like
Oh,
I
yeah.
just write a ton of to-dos and like I have lots of
Literally.
places there. Yeah, yeah,
I'd
yeah.
prefer
Also,
writing notes any day because it is something about it. It just feels so much, I don't know, feels better.
yeah. So I just feel like if I have, I always also use Google Calendar to organize my life. I always say like
Yeah.
if it's not in my calendar, even with my friends, like I put it on the calendar. If it's not there, it's just not happening. So that's
Yeah.
what I use.
Yeah. Especially, yeah, working for yourself, you've got to be so good at managing your time. And I guess what you want is a
I'm actually so bad at that though.
really what do you try
Yeah.
and book every block? Do you try and fill up every block on the calendar or do you like to leave gaps in them?
I've tried, but because I have ADHD, it's really difficult for me to actually go through with that.
Yeah.
So right now, what I do is like the first 3 hours of the morning, I do the stuff that I know I won't be able to do later on. And then from there, just wing it,
Yeah.
which is not good. It's not good. But for example, something that I have is this time, like for 1 hour, I'm doing lead generation. For the hour, I'm like batching content. So that's there. So it
Yeah.
gives me structure,
Yeah.
but I'm not, yeah.
So you have some habits that are daily that you just implement every day that you know you have to
Yeah.
do. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Like for example, no phone for the first 3 hours so I can work.
That's so hard for most people though. Like
It is
most
hard.
people literally have their phone on them all the time. Where did I go the other day? I went out and I got into the car and I realized, oh, I left my phone upstairs. And it actually, at first, it felt really weird. But then after, when I forgot about it, it was actually really freeing. And it felt, actually, I don't miss it. I don't miss always
Yeah.
being that, always vibrating in my pocket. It's like, yeah,
Yeah.
it's good for you, definitely, to put the phone down at least for a certain amount of time every day.
Yeah. And it gives you like, I feel like if I grab my phone first thing in the morning, I'll just have a lot of brain fog and
Okay.
I will not be able to concentrate properly because I'm just
Yeah.
thinking about 3,000
Mm,
stuff and oh, I have to get back to this person or
yeah.
yeah.
So when you're working at home, do you tend to set yourself like I start at this time, I finish at this time?
Yes, a lot of times, yes. I'm not a morning person. So some days I start working like at 12, at
Yeah.
10. And some other days, like because I have clients in the US,
Yeah.
so I would just finish work at like 10, 9 p.m.
Yeah. Okay. Do you try and go for walks to break up the day? Because
Oh yeah,
I
like
find that really helps me think actually. Like just being able to
yeah,
exercise is like the best thing for me just to clear my
yeah.
head and just to actually get inspired.
Yeah, so I go for a walk because I'm lucky enough to have the river just in my doorstep. So I
Yeah.
go for a walk there. I also like go to gym.
Yeah.
It helps me kind of like concentrate.
Yeah.
But I always do something that gets me out of the house before I even start
Okay.
working.
Yeah. Awesome. So what is the best thing about doing what you do? What's your favorite thing?
My favorite thing
Yeah.
is to build people up. Like I said this to a client said this to me actually last week, and it
Mm,
made me really emotional because it's like, Jenny, you're just not building businesses, you're just building people up,
mm,
because you just help people make their dreams come true through, you know, their business and their
yeah,
abilities. So that's my favorite thing, like to see someone that's struggling, to then me helping them,
yeah.
to then just having their best life.
Yeah, that must be really rewarding. The fact that you can actually help really have an impact on someone else's life.
It is.
Yeah,
And we don't realize, like, even the service industry, like we don't realize, but that's what we do every single day.
yeah,
We just take businesses and we just help those businesses grow.
absolutely. So we're coming towards the end of the show, guys. Do you have any lasting thoughts that you'd like to talk about?
I would just say one thing, and that is that if you're really set on achieving something, even if it takes like 10 years to achieve, like keep working on it, because that's, if that's what you want to do, you just go and do it. Just for me, like, obviously you need to have some sort of safety net, but for me it's not playing it safe. Like if you really have something that you want to do, like start a business or go and travel solo for a year or whatever it is that you want to do, just be set on that and achieve that. Because I mean, playing it safe is cool, but at the same time we only have one life, right? So that's what I would just say.
100%. Well, thanks so much. Really great to have you on. I really appreciate your time. I know you're very busy. So thanks for coming on. And where can people find you?
LinkedIn.
On LinkedIn. Yep.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Instagram, it's Geni Cor, and then LinkedIn, Geni Cor.
Cool. So I'll put the links below so you can find her, and definitely follow her. Get in touch if you have any questions on personal branding and business development growth. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel, guys. You can find me. My Instagram is my username is Horton_digital. I'm on TikTok, Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook. All the same usernames, Horton Digital. Make sure you subscribe and you can find me there. And my website is hortondigital.co. Definitely get in touch if you need any help with your marketing, guys. So thank you very much again, Jenny. And I look forward to talking to you soon. And guys, we'll see you on the next episode.